Quoting him, "We are not going to solve every difficult problem in terms of end-of-life care. A lot of that is going to have to be we as a culture and as a society starting to make better decisions within our families and for ourselves. But what we can do is make sure that at least some of the waste that exists in the system, that's not making anybody's mom better, that is loading up on additional tests or additional drugs that the evidence shows is not necessarily going to improve care, that at least then we can let doctors know and your mom know, you know what, maybe this isn't going to help. Maybe you're better off not having the surgery, but taking the painkiller." To begin with, if you think Obama's health care program is merely about expanding insurance coverage, think again. Consistent with the contents of the actual legislation, he's talking about using his health care initiative to control our lives from cradle to grave. He even has personal opinions about your mom and how long she should live. He wants the government to, quote, "let doctors know and let your mom know," end quote, what's appropriate medical care. When the government lets you know something, it's not usually in the form of a circulating family Christmas card. It's more in the form of, "this is how it's going to be or else." So after saying nothing positive to Jane and her mother, Obama tells Jane, in effect, that in the future the government will indeed have something more to say to her and her mother, and it won't be, "God bless Mom, her zest, and her longevity." It will be about withholding vital health care and, in effect, killing Mom to save money. If you think that cutting off treatment isn't murder, then imagine forcibly taking away the insulin syringe from a friend who's in a diabetic crisis. Or think about Jane's mom, who couldn't have survived without proper cardiac treatment. Obama's so-called end-of-life care decisions are a euphemism for euthanasia, which is itself a euphemism for murder. The institutionalization of medical murder is one potentially horrific result of socialized medicine.
What do you make of Obama's plans on pain medication instead of vital treatment?
As a physician, I can tell you that painkillers such as morphine or Demerol are sometimes used not only to ease pain, but secondarily to shorten the agony by suppressing already failing vital functions. These are decisions that are sometimes made privately between a caring family and doctor when an elderly, terminally ill patient is too impaired to know or to feel anything but the pain and only has hours or a few days to live. But it's not a decision that Obama or the government should be making for anyone else, let alone someone with years of life ahead of them. Take care of your own mother, Mr. President. Hurry her out of this world if you wish, but leave our mom alone. That brings me again to the weekly refrain of my radio report, what I call the primary principles. Protect freedom, take responsibility at all times, express gratitude for your gifts and opportunities, become a source of love. This is psychiatrist Peter Bregan urging you to live like an American. You can listen to all of my radio reports and download the transcripts at www.bregan.com. That's BREGGIN.com.
Thanks, Dr. Bregan. I think people are finally starting to realize just how bad socialized medicine would be for America. Well, now in the middle of all this euphoria over Bill Clinton getting the prisoners released to North Korea, the two journalists, let's not forget that there was another member of the Clinton cabal, Madeleine Halfbright, who also traveled to North Korea. She went over there in 2000. She ignored Kim Jong-il's crimes against humanity when he killed 1 million people, and she came back with only glowing words about him.
It wasn't until Kim Dae-jung went and said that he had some very important discussions with him and found him to be somebody that he could talk to that was rational, pragmatic. I found the same thing.
She said he was rational and pragmatic. Forget the millions that starved under his leadership, the slave labor camps. Listen to this fool exude sympathy for Kim Jong-il in this clip.
It has been 6 years since his father has died. He is in charge of what is called kind of a hermit kingdom. And he listened very carefully. He didn't lecture me. I went through all my talking points with him, and he gave rational answers, and he seems pragmatic.
But here's the best one. Guess which cable network the dear leader watches. Take a wild guess.
He also told me he had 3 computers in his office, watches a different television network, and stays informed. He says that he reads...
Was he watch CNN?
CNN, said he did. And I did find him informed.
You hear that? He was informed. He was so intelligent. That's the kind of international diplomacy the Clintons engage in. Chamberlain diplomacy. I'm Michael Savage. We'll be right back.
Fresh and original every day. Live and real. On the air, online, on demand. Armstrong and Getty. Weekday morning 6 to 10. Talk 910 KNEW.
There's a couple of channels I'm addicted to on television. I admit I'm going blind from the internet and television. It's sad. I'm addicted. I can't stop it, but that's the way it is. It's horrible. Everything's blurry. And then I watch military history almost incessantly, and I watch History Channel almost incessantly. And last night on HDTV, I was bored. I watched a thing on the occult in the Third Reich under Hitler. That, it's alleged that Hitler was a Christian. And his henchmen were Christians, but you well know and I well know that they weren't. They had been born, of course, in Catholic nations or such, but they were all devout occultists, and they practiced the occult behind the scenes. Most Germans did not know that they were led by an occult maniac, Adolf Hitler, and was surrounded by Satanists. And to this day, they don't understand that they were surrounded by Satanists, nor do the American people themselves understand what was going on historically, because they don't teach any of this. They don't understand that most of the atrocities, not all of them, were carried out by the SS, who answered only to Hitler, separate from the Wehrmacht, which does not mean there were not atrocities conducted by the Wehrmacht, the German army, but it's important for you to understand this, to understand what was going on. These children were brainwashed in a Hitler youth from childhood on. Think about it. If a boy was born in 1920, he then fought in 1938, 1939, 1940. The state had him for virtually his entire developmental life. They brainwashed the child, first in the Hitler Youth, then in another program for the teenagers, then finally into the military itself. When I heard that Obama wanted to create a military unit or a special unit of children, a national service children, that will answer only to the White House, every nerve in my body went into overdrive. Do you remember that statement? Listen to it now if you don't. This was during the campaign. The guys, see if you can find that. It's very important for you to hear this. All right, just say when you have it, whatever. I know I picked it out of the air. I don't expect you to have him. Listen to this, because this could be coming to a neighborhood near you. If you don't have it, you don't have it. But say you have it or don't. You're leaving me in the lurch here. Another 50 minutes, all right. Figure around 9 o'clock tonight I'll have it when I need it, when I'm passed out from exhaustion. Anyway, during the campaign, Obama gave himself away in many different ways. Reverend Wright was perhaps the most telling giveaway of who Obama is inside the head, between the ears, where it counts. You say it doesn't matter that a man sat in a church for 20 years and listened to vile anti-Americanism with a special twist of anti-whiteism. You say it doesn't matter. I say it does matter. I say he could have left at any time, and he didn't. And I warned you what was coming. And he also gave this speech. I want you to hear it again. Go ahead.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
A civilian national security force that's just as strong, just as well-funded as the U.S. military. That sounds like a little gentleman from Austria who wanted his own civilian security force, and he created it. It was called the Brown Shirts. And he funded it. And they fought for him, and they protected him. And they protected him not only from the political opponents, but from the military itself. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, since this is the new way, since this is the New World Order, since there's no stopping the tidal wave of lies, deceit, arrogance, and absolute un-Americanism emanating from the highest office.